Something terribly dangerous happened when a Delhi-bound SpiceJet flight couldn't take off yesterday from Surat. The reason, a buffalo, yes, a buffalo collided with the aircraft right before takeoff, though all passengers are safe. This incident raises serious questions about the level of preparation and safety at our airfields. How can the DGCA allow the situation to come to such a pass where a buffalo enters the airfield just as that plane is about to take off? Here's our report.
Around on the speed of 120 kilometers, I had a talk with the pilot. He said all of a sudden a bull came and emergency brakes उसने apply किया.
Flight just fast हो ही गई थी runway पे और अचानक बहुत जोर से आवाज आई, जैसे कोई blast वजह से आवाज आई.
These people thankful of their lucky escape, visibly shaken after their experience on the Delhi-bound SpiceJet flight 622 from Surat.
The SpiceJet Surat-Delhi flight was scheduled for 6:55 p.m. In the next couple of minutes, it was given a go-ahead by Surat ATC to start roll on runway 04. At around 7, it took to the speed, and even before having crossed the halfway mark at around 7, a buffalo hit the plane. There was a strong thud. The plane shook violently, but the pilot applied emergency brakes in the nick of time at around 7:01 and saved lives of 140 passengers on board.
The Civil Aviation Ministry taking of the incident, ordering an inquiry into the aircraft smashing into a buffalo. Also seeking a report from the Airport Authority of India on the Surat mishap. But aircrafts encountering stray animals on the runway is certainly not a new phenomenon, at least in smaller airports across the country. In the past, stray dogs, pigs, cows and even snakes have made their presence felt at sundry runways and even inside airport terminals. Such incidents clearly putting passenger lives at risk. The latest incident simply highlighting yet another security breach at Indian airports. Question is, are authorities waiting for a bigger tragedy to unfold before getting their act right?
The Civil Aviation Ministry is now on a damage control mode, realizing that the Federal Aviation Administration safety assessment is just round the corner and it might have difficulty in regaining the top post. It had asked the Airport Authority of India to submit a detailed report. Luck was definitely on part of the 140 passengers, but then accountability needs to be set so that there is not a repeat of this in future. This is Pankaj Upadhyay in New Delhi for Headlines Today.
Why has passenger safety been compromised so terribly, and who is to blame? That's the news today, big question for tonight. And joining us on this program, I want to begin by introducing Kanu Gohen. He's the former Director General of Civil Aviation, the authority responsible for ensuring that you fly safe and you land safely. So what's going wrong at his old organization? With us also, Sanat Kaul, one of the foremost aviation experts in this country, and with us in the studio, Captain S.S. Panisa, former Director of Flight Safety and Training at Indian Airlines. Now, sir, you've been a pilot. You would have been in that plane. That passenger who just spoke to us said the plane was at 120 kilometers per hour. How many seconds away were we from catastrophe at Surat?
Well, Rahul, let me tell you, this is not the first incident. It's a very serious incident. We are grateful to God. Nothing serious happened and passengers were very safe. But we have to learn a lesson. So many incidents.
How many seconds away from catastrophe were we?
Maybe few seconds. If it had hit with the higher speed, the engine would have exploded, aircraft would have caught fire. It would be very serious. But now you see so many incidents in the past, DGCA conducts inquiries. What action they are taking? This small airport.
Who do you think is to blame? Against whom must action be taken?
Airport Authority and DGCA. Because Airport Authority is responsible for taking care of the airport, and DGCA finally goes and inspects whether it is safe or unsafe.
And there's something terribly wrong with the way the DGCA is functioning, Kanu Gohen, for a buffalo to be able to walk all over Surat airport. Someone should really lose his job. Can you explain to us why the DGCA has allowed passenger safety to be compromised so badly, sir?
No, Rahul, I will not be able to answer the why of yours, but certainly it is a very matter of serious concern, and this runway incursion is a serious safety hazard, whether it's animate or inanimate. Now, as far as the drills are concerned, the airports are supposed to have a perimeter wall or a perimeter fencing. Now, how the buffalo has come in is a matter to be investigated. I have been told, and I have collected information throughout the day, being an ex-DGCA, and I have informally been told that there was no perimeter wall in that area and there were some fencing, which the villagers have cut it to allow their buffaloes to come inside.
I'm sorry, I've heard a different story, Mr. Kanu Gohen. In fact, just before we began, Captain Panesar was telling us that it's the DGCA officials, the airports authority officials who actually posted on the ground who allow these villagers to come in. Now, given the amount of security at airports, these villagers can't come in and graze their cattle unless the airports authority. Just one second. I want you to listen to Captain Panesar. I'm coming back to you, Kanu Gohen, in a moment. Captain Panesar, tell us what you said. You were talking about Gwalior Airport.
DGCA is the final authority. I have been flying to Gwalior early morning, first flight, when we find the cow dung on the runway.
Where does it come from?
It comes because they have compromised with the villagers. Either they are very strong politically.
The airports authority has compromised with villagers, you're saying?
They allow them after the last flight, tell their cows to come inside the airport for grazing.
So they don't have to cut the grass.
There's a mutual arrangement with them. But now the Air Force has taken over Gwalior, they are very serious. Now similarly, DGCA, before you clear an airport, what inspection you have done? We were 5 inspectors. When Air Marshal Keeler was advisor, we used to force to go to the airports to see the walls and everything. We used to clear the airport.
Do you accept, Kanu Gohen, that this is a big failure on the part of the DGCA to have not done those inspections, not to have had those walls in place, and for the DGCA to give certificates of safety is not okay, Mr. Gohen?
Rahul, I'm not able to get you properly, but whatever little I have heard from these transmissions, let me be very clear. Though I agree with Captain Panesar, DGCA is not available at every airport. DGCA lays down certain regulations and guidelines. One of the most important regulation or guideline is aerodrome inspection.
I'm sorry, I'm not ready to accept
this. The aerodrome operator, which in this case is Airports Authority of India, they have their own protocols how to carry out the aerodrome inspection.
Captain Panesar disagrees with you and he wants to come in very strongly. Captain Panesar.
I don't agree with Mr. Goheen. They have a flight inspection director. They are cheaper by dozen. There are so many inspectors. Their job is also to go and see and inspect the airports. They are not only to check the pilots. They are supposed to check the navigation aids, pilot standard, airports, all those things. Those inspectors will give a report about the airport.
Sanat Kaul, we're seeing a strong disagreement between Captain Panesar and the former DGCA chief over who is to blame. Given the circumstances that have emerged in the public domain so far, who do you think, Sanat Kaul, is responsible? Whose head must roll?
What are the DGCA inspectors, the flight inspection director? They are cheaper by dozen.
DGCA is the licensing authority, and so far, if you please let me speak, then I can speak.
Go on, sir.
I have not spoken so far. DGCA is supposed to license airports, and they were not licensing airports up to a point. Then they are supposed to license airports. They are supposed to look into the security aspect. In this particular case, obviously, the fault lies with the airport authority, and they are liable legally to compensate. But runway incursion is a very major fault. And this kind of an animal going there, whether it's dogs or now a bull, is very serious. There are also certain high court cases, certain court cases with regard to dogs, which are very unfortunate, where dogs cannot be removed from the airport. So I think in all, there is a need for Ministry of Civil Aviation to take a very serious issue of runway incursion by animals. And this particular instance, it was just a matter of luck that lives have been saved. Otherwise, it could have easily, as somebody pointed out, the plane could have caught fire or damage could have been much more and human lives lost. So what is happening in this country is total laxity, both on the part of DGCA, who is supposed to inspect frequently, and the airport operator, the Airport Authority of India,
I have
in this case and otherwise also,
I have with
they should
me
be penalized,
a list of similar instances from the past.
Yes.
There have been dogs on the airfield in Jaipur, there have been cows in Jaipur, there have been pigs in Nagpur, there have been nilgai at the Kanpur airport, there have been snakes at an Air India flight, there have been cobras, there have been monitor lizards. You actually don't need to go to the Delhi or Mumbai zoo if you want to see all this livestock. All you need to do is show up at the airport.
See, with due apologies to the gentleman who is speaking, DGCA and the chairman, whenever you start an operation, the first concern is the safety of aircraft and passengers. You make an airport, do you go through it? What are the safety? What the villages, the cow dungs and all that coming over? How the animals are coming? That DGCA is the final authority who said they expect to clear it.
Respond, because I'm not getting a clear response from you, Mr. Kanu Gohen. Captain Panis are arguing forcefully. No, 1 second, hear me out. That it's the DGCA's job to give a safety certificate. It's only after you give a certificate of this nature which holds Surat airport safe for flights to be taking off from there, sir.
Okay, can I respond now, Rahul, to make the things clear for your viewers? It is true that the DGCA as a regulator has the responsibility of giving the license to an airport to operate in a safe and secure manner. Having said so, there are certain regulations which are to be complied with by the aerodrome operator. Now, an animal getting inside the airport logically is because of somewhere the perimeter wall is breached.
Sir, but where were the DGCA officials who gave the certificate? Who gave the safety certificate? Didn't they see that there was no wall? Did they not raise a red flag? Did they not see that the barbed wire was cut? A buffalo can't sneak in. A dog sneaking in through the barbed wire, I still understand. Someone cut that barbed wire. Somebody in the DGCA gave a certificate. That shouldn't have happened, sir.
Rahul, let me speak. Give me a moment. Now, after the certificate has been issued, there are certain works in the airport. There could be breaches, either intentional or due to structural failure. Someone might break the wall. Someone might, for some reasons. But it is the responsibility of the aerodrome operator by the process of inspection to detect such breaches to ensure the security of the operational area. Yeah. Now, if there is a breach detected, it is the responsibility of the aerodrome operator, in view of the license issued to him, to ensure that the breach is plugged. If the breach is not plugged immediately, then there should be some guards.
We're seeing a convenient blame game here, but I want to understand from Sanat Kaul, what according to you, Mr. Kaul, needs to be done to ensure what happened in Surat doesn't happen in another airport. This time round, on this 737-800 flight, SG622, 140 people were on board. All of them could have been involved in a fatal crash. That fortunately didn't happen. What do you think we need to fix, and how can we do it? Who must do it?
See,
just 1 second. I want to hear from Sanat Kaul.
Well, yeah, yes, because now that the DGCA is the licensor for the airports, they have to cancel the license of Surat Airport for some time at least and put penalty on the Airport Authority of India for violating the rules and regulations. The breach which took place in the wall and how the cows and the bull were able to get in has to be investigated. And you can easily take action against the Airport Authority of India, like it happened when in the case of the escalator tragedy in Delhi, which took place around 2000, and it went up to Supreme Court. These are breaches which are taking place by the airport when the rules are there. And it's not that the perimeter wall is not to be there, it has to be there. Why was it breached? So in a way, I agree with Mr. Kanu Gohen that the breach took place because of the laxity of Airport Authority of India as well as the airport manager at Surat. He must have known that there is a breach in the wall, and that is the way the cattle got in. Second, we also have to look into the various court rulings with regard to animals. It is a disgrace that dogs and other stray animals cannot be picked up from the airport and taken out and thrown out. It is because of high court judgments. So that is also another issue which has to be seen. And therefore, I feel that it is now the case where the larger part of the responsibility will lie with the airport manager and the Airport Authority of India. But the DGCA is equally responsible because we don't know when they last inspected the place, the airport. If they inspected many years back, then it is also a laxity on their part for lack of inspection which is taking place. They have a number of airports which they license, and they must review them, they must inspect them at a certain frequent interval. I don't know whether that is happening or not.
No, I just did a quick search to see if any action had been taken against the Surat airport. Despite this horrific incident, no action's been taken. Flights are still going to Surat just as regular. And that just shows how lackadaisical we are when it comes to safety. You have an incident where 140 odd people could have potentially died, and yet there is no response from the system.
No authority, whether High Court and all that, will interfere the safety of concern. We may mention High Court objection. What are the objections from a High Court? Don't open the airport. If any objection is there by High Court or anybody, I will not compromise the safety of passengers.
Fearful of passengers getting irritated if these flights are cancelled, and that passenger backlash holds people back?
Sir, before I clear an airport for passenger operations, my concern is safety of passenger and aircraft. If it is not okay, I will not clear the aircraft whether passenger is shouting or not. I don't care.
Kanu Gohen, as a former DGCA chief, you've heard two experts say, shut down the Surat airport. That might create some deterrence. Do you think the officer in charge, the officer who did the inspection and the airports authority personnel must be acted against, Mr. Gohen?
The first part, I do not agree. The second part, yes.
You don't want to shut down Surat airport. Why not, sir? Why not send a strong message? Get your act in order, only then can you take passengers.
I will tell you why. You see, the airport is there to serve the community. The airport is there to operate aeroplanes so that the community is served, the people are served, number one. Number two, the second part of the question, I agree with you, that there should be a deterrent action against those found responsible for the lapses.
But what if the airport is not safe? As a former DGCA chief, I'm very concerned that you say this, Mr. Gohen. What if Surat airport still has the same vulnerability which was exposed by this one buffalo? What if tonight as well, or tomorrow when there's a flight taking off, there's another buffalo? And you're okay with letting things continue the way they are in Surat airports? I'm quite perplexed with that.
I understand your case, Mr. Rahul, but let me also tell you, for that reason, the government, I understand, has already ordered an inquiry. In that inquiry, the lapses will be detected and the persons will be identified who were found responsible. Now, my perception is, if deterrent action is taken against the individuals who by their negligence or by their negligence or by their intentions have lapsed, then they should be taken to task. And the drawback found, the breaches or whatever it is, should be repaired immediately. And
I'm sorry, I don't agree. The first thing that must happen is that there must be an inspection at the airport to see whether or not the airport can be certified to be safe. Only after that should the next flight take off from Surat airport. And of course there must be strong penalties, because that's the only way to create deterrence. We seem to have, Captain Panesar, a terribly chalta hai attitude. We're so used to these near misses that unless
inquiry will take long time, they'll put it into the file. Whatever happened in the past, what have they learned from the past? Why
clearly not very much. This is very, very disconcerting. The fact that... Yes, I'm out of time. So quickly, Mr. Goyen, you've got 20 seconds to wrap up.
Yeah. The point which I am trying to make, I agree with you. First of all, there should be an inspection by the DGCA to ensure that after this incident, what other remedial measures have been taken to ensure that it is not repeated. That is number one. But at the same time, to counter the negligence or the complacency in the manpower or the human resource which is supposed to do their job, there should be some identification and then a deterrent action against them before the flights are again resumed.
Good. I'm glad that we've been able to move you from your original position and get you to say that before the next flight takes off, there must be a thorough inspection. All these gaps must be plugged. Only when the DGCA genuinely certifies that this airport is safe for flight operations, only then must the next airplane take off from Surat. And in the meanwhile, there must be strict action. Captain Panesar Sanat Kaul.
So the airport needs to be closed down.
Yes, Mr. Kaul. Quickly, 20 seconds.
The license should be suspended for a few days. The license should be suspended till the corrections are made. Operator's license, the airport operator's license needs to be suspended.
Rahul, my
That's what
suggestion
DGCA
is,
should do.
The DGCA has a very powerful department, flight inspection director, considering of pilots, engineers and everybody. They should make them responsible that they should inspect all the airport where they suspect the safety is
must make them responsible? They are responsible and they ought to be doing their job. This level of complacency is not acceptable.
They can even check the Airport Authority of India for their lapses.
Okay, I end this over here. To all my guests for joining us on News Today, thank you very much. We're moving now to our next big story, and the reason we put this on the 9 o'clock news tonight is that we cannot afford to risk the safety of passengers. That is of paramount importance, and if there are officers who are sleeping on the job, action must be taken against them so they wake up and smell the coffee. It's a rare admission of guilt by the Indian Army. The Army has accepted responsibility for the killings of 2 civilians in Budgam in the Kashmir Valley. The incident had sparked off protests in the valley, with separatists calling for a shutdown. The Army commander in the area has promised a full and fair probe, but the youth who survived the incident rejected the compensation offered of 10 lakh rupees. He instead demands justice.
तो इन्होंने अंधाधुंध फायरिंग की, इन्होंने कुछ देखा ही नहीं। मैंने सोचा ये तो सब सारे अब मर गए, तो मेरे को अपनी जान बचानी है।
2 young lives lost due to mistaken identity. The killings sparking off immediate protests and indignation. 4 days later, a rare admission of guilt by the Indian Army.
We take responsibility for what has happened. You know, we sincerely wish that this incident had not happened. We share the sorrow and grief of the families, and we express our deepest regrets over this loss of lives. It will be our focus to ensure that there are no repeats of such incidents in future.
Never before has the Army's admission been so swift and so unconditional. The owning up is being seen as an effort to stem the outrage and deny politicians the chance to fan passions. Under scrutiny after its soldiers opened fire at the teenager's vehicle, the entire company of 53 Rashtriya Rifles had been replaced by another unit 2 days later. But 14-year-old Basim Amin is not impressed. He's haunted by memories of that night when he lost his 2 friends forever.
मैंने शीशा खोला तो शीशे से जंप मारी, फिर मैंने फेंट्रोल 2-4 किए, तो फिर मैं वहां से ही भाग गया, तो फिर फेंट्रोल किए और वो पीछे फायर चलाते रहे। अगर चेक पोस्ट होता तो हम रुकते ना, फिर अगर हमको रोकते, हम तो छोटे बच्चे थे, हम क्या कोई मिलिटेंट्स थे।
Basim had scrambled away into the night while his 2 other friends got injured when the Jawans opened fire at them at a mobile vehicle checkpost.
हमें तो इंसाफ चाहिए, हम तो मासूम बच्चे थे, हम क्या कोई मिलिटेंट्स थे, हमें पैसे वैसे की जरूरत नहीं है।
This is one of the rare incidents in which the army has taken full responsibility of the civilian deaths occurred due to firing involving its own Jawans in Kashmir Valley. While the army has said that they'll carry out an inquiry and has also announced compensation for the families only go on to say that they don't want anything else but a fair probe in which the guilty are punished. One thing, however, is very clear. The way the army has tackled this particular incident only goes on to suggest that these violations probably would not be taken lightly from here on in Kashmir Valley. With cameraman Tariq Loon, Shujaul Haq in Srinagar for Headlines Today.